stands one nation.
With liberty. Justice for all. Very nice. How about roll call, Rick?
And we have another unidentified person coming in. Let me just let them in. Oh, it's Merrill already. Okay, from the city of Ansonia, Sheila O'Malley.
Here,
From the town of Beacon Falls, we don't have anyone yet. From the town of Bethlehem, we are expecting first selectman Assard, should be here in a minute. From the city of Bristol, Mayor Zappo.
Here.
Thank you. We are not expecting anyone from the town of Cheshire today. Jerry Sitko is retiring and we're expecting a new appointment there. Anyone from the city of Derby? We're expecting Mayor Zekin in person. No one yet. From the town of Middlebury, first selectman St. John.
Here.
From the borough of Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
From the town of Oxford, no one. From the town of Plymouth, Mayor Merchant.
I don't see Dave up there.
Yeah, he's there.
He's here.
Yeah. From the town of Seymour is first selectman Dragonis in.
No, I haven't seen any.
Okay. From the city of Shelton, Mayor Loretti is on the line. And in a rush to go to his Flag Day event today.
Yes.
From the town of Southbury, first selectman Manville.
Here.
From the town of Thomaston, first selectman Moan.
Here.
From the city of Waterbury, Mayor O'Leary.
Here.
From the town of Watertown, town manager Ramo. He is with us.
Mark's here?
Yep. From the town of Wolcott, Mayor Dunn.
Here.
From the town of Woodbury, first selectman Perkinson.
Here.
And we have a quorum present for both bodies, Mr. Mayor. We're also joined today by Sarah Rodacey from Connecticut Department of Transportation, Hetty Ayers from Eversource, April Chaplin from the Kennedy Center, and we do have some staff also remote today.
Okay, great. Anyone here from the public who wishes to address the board?
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes. Hi, Hetty.
Good morning. How are you, Mayor?
Hey, and how are you?
I'm good. Good to see you all. So Hetty Ayers with Eversource. Just on behalf of our team, I just wanted to quickly share again that we are encouraging our customers to take advantage of available payment plans as service disconnections for non-payment are slated to resume for our business customers only after June 15th. I want to make it clear that residential, electric, and natural gas customers still remain protected from service disconnections at this time. And also remind folks that the business customers that are eligible for disconnection will receive multiple letters in the mail from Eversource, letting them know that their service is scheduled to be shut off non-payment and the steps that they should take to avoid the disconnection. And I think it's also important to note too, that regardless of financial need, all of our customers, whether they're residential or business, are still eligible for the COVID-19 payment plan that we've been talking about for some time now. And that plan allows them to pay a past due balance over a period of up to 24 months with no interest charges and now no down payment. And enrollment in that program has been extended through July 20th. So really, even though these service disconnections are coming back into play next week for businesses, there really is no need for anyone to be disconnected if they enroll in the COVID-19 payment protection plan. So I just want to make sure that folks are aware of that. There was a news release that went out yesterday on that front. There's lots of activity on social media, but really just wanted to highlight it to the group. So thank you.
Mr. Chairman, Mr.
Yes.
Chairman, I just want to take a quick second to, if I could, to thank Hetty Ayers and Samantha Laban. Hetty stepped in when Samantha was out on maternity leave, but both of them, and this is long overdue, we had a power outage in Ansonia and they both did a phenomenal job, and there was no, it was a seamless effort, and I really appreciate your efforts, Hetty, and as well to Samantha for helping us out. Thanks, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Sheila, thank you. Anyone else have anything for Hetty? We're letting you off easy today, Hetty.
Thank you.
But I just On a note, we did get a message from Mayor Zekin. He is stuck in a Route 8 detour trying to get into Waterbury.
Okay, good to know. Thank you. Okay, let's go right to agenda item 2. The CNVMPO meeting. Approval of the amendments to the 21 to 24 TIP. We have 2 projects. We have project number 01740448, traffic signal replacement program, and the second project 01510313, which is a bridge rehabilitation project. We have a motion.
Moved, Edmond. Second. Peters.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, abstain. Okay, and next we have Mark Nielsen is going to talk with us about House Bill 5429, pedestrian safety. Go ahead, Mark.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. The raised bill was actually passed by the legislature earlier in the week and signed into law, so it's now Public Act 21-28. Basically, there's 3 parts to this act that you should all be aware of. The intent is to try to increase pedestrian safety, and one of the key actions of the bill is to create a Vision Zero Commission that's going to be made up of the Commissioner of DOT and the Commissioner of the Public Safety. And again, the goal of that commission is to really look at highway safety and safety of pedestrians and bicyclists throughout the state and try to come up with actions and recommendations to reduce the number of fatality accidents and severe injury accidents. The other item that is included in this bill is that it does increase protection for pedestrians and crosswalks. Connecticut for a while has had a requirement that motorists do yield to pedestrians and crosswalk, but it was a little bit uncertain, when a pedestrian is actually in the crosswalk, and so this sort of tried to tighten that up a little bit to. It allows pedestrians to actually signal that they are about to ready to cross, so it gives a little bit more of an indication that to motorists. And then the third action included in this bill is it allows municipalities to set speed limits on local roads themselves without having to go to OSTA for approval. So it gives a little bit more authority for municipalities to adjust speeds or speed limits on local roads without, going through the state. So just an FYI, just, a couple of things to keep aware of. And as this commission on Vision Zero is created, I'm sure the MPOs and the COGs will be invited to participate. So we'll keep you posted going forward.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mark. Anyone have any questions for Mark? Okay, hearing none, we'll move over to item agenda 3, NVCOG administrative items. A, approval of the minutes from the May 14th, 2021 NVCOG CNVMPO meeting. Motion
to approve is presented. Edmond.
Second, Naugatuck.
Thank you, gentlemen. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain. Thank you. B, approval of agency financial reports and summaries for the period ending April 30th, 2021. Michael.
Thank you. So we are 80%, 83% through the year. Right now, the deficit is at about 88,000. However, we're still on track to hit our targeted deficit of about 20,000, which is the result of the Kinneytown Dam. Other than that, there's no real significant changes from last month's report.
Okay. Anybody have any questions for Michael? It's Friday and the sun is out. You're very quiet, folks.
Must be. It's a great day. Everybody wants out the door. Motion to approve the financial report as presented.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Okay, we next have approval, a discussion of year-end projections. I think that.
We covered, no, Michael already covered that. The budget is on target for the planned deficit of about $20,000.
Correct.
Okay, he did cover that, correct, thank you. Item agenda 3D, approval of NVCOG FY 2022 budget and organizational chart. Rick?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Michael is putting the budget item up. So the executive board has met twice over the, yes, you did. A long meeting yesterday. It was the second meeting to put together the approved budget for the year. Along with, they adopted, as is their authority, the organizational chart, the salary schedule, and salary and benefit schedule. So the motion that we're seeking today is, and I'm going to drop Michael's screen for a second and just share mine because I want to get the motion correct for you, Mr. Mayor. Let's see. So the proposed motion for this is to accept the recommendation of the executive board to adopt the fiscal year 22 dues schedule and the NVCOG FY 22 budget as presented, including organizational chart, salary and benefit schedule as previously negotiated and adopted by the executive board. So that's the full motion. And if you get that motion in a second, we'll be happy to briefly explain the contents.
I'll make that motion.
And I'll second.
Discussion.
With your permission, Mr. Mayor, I'll go through the brief presentation with Michael. So Michael, if you could bring that screen back up again. And then so that everyone can see it. I will just give you some of the high points and the issues we've dealt with in this budget. So as I explained to the executive board yesterday, and you might have seen in the news, the COG bill, which dealt with our funding, died on the Senate calendar. It was tied to the remote meeting legislation. So for God knows what reason. So what we did was we're now reverting to the fiscal year 16 formula that's in statute, which we were anticipating an $80,000 reduction under the new formula. We are getting an additional $20,000 reduction beyond that. We hope that this will be resolved in the special session, but we're adopting the budget with a low estimate. We're moving forward with that. On the legislative side, we are proposing some changes. I'm going to continue to work with the chairman and the executive board to get the right language approved by the legislature for the year. The budget highlights and assumptions, I'll just go through quickly and then Michael can answer any questions. But we have a staffing plan. You'll see an organizational chart today that eliminates one position. That position has already been eliminated as of this afternoon. So that person will be separated and not in the budget for next year. So we've eliminated one. We've hired 5 new staff people who are filling vacancies, and it's part of a plan we've been working out with the executive board to work on transition for retirement and attrition over the next couple of years. But it is a sustainable plan. We are proposing, bottom line in this budget, a deficit budget adoption mainly due to the way the state failed to adopt our funding stream. But we are bringing in, and this is the main point, we're bringing in $80,000 of CARES Act money that we received in a prior year. So in prior year, 2020, we ran a surplus of $137,000. We're now bringing $80,000 of that back in CARES money this year that we're going to expend going forward, as well as another $20,000 for Kinneytown. On the fund balance, it brings us down to $730,000 round numbers after we do this. Hopefully, if the state passes the budget, we will only have the $20,000 reduction. Mr. Mayor, I don't know how much you want us to go into the differences in the spending plan. We just might let Michael hit the 3 main categories that are percentage-wise very different in the expenditures.
Yeah, I think that works. And then if anyone has any questions, they can go ahead.
So with that, Michael, you want to go through this?
All right, thank you. So the overall operating G&A expenses is about 32% higher than the previous year. The main cost for that is software and IT. We're getting new accounting software, and there's a one-time implementation fee of about $36,000 that we won't see in the following years, but the price is, you know, a little bit more expensive than QuickBooks. We also have a new CIO, and that's included in there as well. The second item is professional services, which includes legal. Again, that's primarily the Kidney Time Dam. Well, the expenses for that, which is causing that increase. As you recall from the audit, new audit contract and auditor, there's an increase in that. And then finally, the training and professional development, minimal increase, but it's there, and that's just for, you know, training and education for new staff members. Other than that, I was able to cut quite a bit of other expenses throughout the budget to try to ease the blow.
Okay. Anyone have any questions?
Mr. Mayor, I just point to the total line item there, the first two columns, that's the change Michael referred to. For 1 year, that will reduce back to only about a $50,000 difference in the following year. And then when you look at the operating indirect, that's the one that you really want to pay attention to, exclusive of programs and salaries. That's the operating cost of the agency. So Michael got us from $337,000 in the current year. He's projecting $303,000 next year. So he actually did year over year operating expenses, eliminating one-time projects and other salary items related to programs. It's actually a reduction, and that's a good number to track. That's the one you really want to look at, because that's the actual cost of turning the key in the door.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions? It looks pretty much in line. Are you, Rick, are we getting any ARPA money?
No, no. We haven't received.
Everybody else.
Yeah, the COGS haven't received anything since the first CARES Act chunk. As I think I discussed with you guys, the COG directors are meeting Monday to discuss how we're going to continue to participate in COVID recovery, and really shifting most of our work away from the public health aspect and into the economic recovery and community recovery activities. But no, the ARP money that would have come to organizations like the COGS in Connecticut is the county money. And because Connecticut doesn't have separate county government, the Congress mandated that it be allocated on a per capita basis to the towns. So all the towns are getting not COG money, county money. So we're not receiving anything.
Okay. Anyone else have any comments, questions about any of this? If not, Edmond?
No, I've already asked my question. Thank you, Neil. I would simply call the question and vote on it.
Okay. Are you making a motion, sir?
Motion's been made and seconded, I believe, correct?
Oh, you're right. I didn't write that down. Oh,
What are
boy.
you, Neil? Moving on this one.
Should all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstain. Perfect. Now we're going to hear from Rick on his brief director's report.
You heard that brief.
I heard,
Very long-winded yesterday, boys and girls.
no, I won't bore the full board with everything I bored the executive board with yesterday. Really, I'm just going to touch on two things quickly. The legislative activities, I already told you about. We're going to focus on the budget items. We'll be focusing on the meeting rules, the public meeting rules as well in the special session. Those will be the two things that we're looking at. We were going to discuss our own meeting rules going forward. What we've decided is that we're going to continue with our current setup.
Agree.
But I would point out one thing I did not mention yesterday on this, and this was not part of the discussion in the state legislation, is today, as things sit today, the FOI commission rules prior to the governor's executive orders said that you can hold a remote meeting as long as you provide a public place for the public to participate. So that's the rule right now. And it doesn't require any change in legislation. So the fight goes on between those who think a remote meeting participation should be either permissive or absolute. So that's that discussion. We will continue to operate in the same way we've operated. I don't think we need to make any change right now, and we'll reassess after we see the legislation. The other item that I was just going to bring up is diversity, equity, and inclusion policy program here. It is a program we're restaffing for, and we've brought on Desiree Blanchard, who will work under Leslie, along with Gabriel in that area. We will be forming a committee that will be looking for board members to serve on, along with staff. Staff will do the work. We need board members to just weigh in on policy and direction. And then we'll look for some other appointments as well. We'll discuss with the committee. But I just want to bring that to your attention. That's work that we're going to undertake in the upcoming year, along with active transportation planning, which is another big area that Mark is going to take on there. So with that, I'll just leave it at that, and we'll wait and see what the legislative world holds. Oh, one last thing. We are working on scheduling a special meeting with on the new mix master with the consultants for the COG members. We're not sure when it'll be. We're looking at the end of June, right before the 4th of July. If it's not then, it might not be until September. So we'll let you know, but it'll be a significant update from the consultants who are doing design work, not for the current job, but for the plan we're putting together for 25 years out. With that, I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Well, anyone who is interested in sitting on the diversity committee, please let us know. And are you anticipating appointing someone to chair that committee as well, Rick?
Yeah, I would hope that one of the board members would chair the committee. And we can have as many as are interested, but at least 3, 4 board members would be a good committee supported by staff. And we might then look outside the agency to invite some people to participate, but that would be at the discretion of the board and the chair.
Okay, very cool.
We'll be bringing back the draft policies for you over our next few meetings.
Okay.
Last thing I'll just give you, I promise, I know I said I was going to stop. The Envision 2020 conference, it's looking like we're going to be at the Palace sometime in the spring to early summer of 2022. That's our regional conference. We try and hold every 5 years. We were delayed by COVID this time. And we'll look comprehensively at all transportation, land use planning, public safety, all kinds of issues involved in the healthy development of our region. So heady airs, and if you're listening, we're going to be trying to hit up the utilities for some sponsorship money for that conference. The Palace doesn't come cheap. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
I'm sure Hetty is listening. I see her smiling.
I was looking for the mute button. So noted. Send me an email.
Okay, thank you, Hetty.
Yep.
Okay, any other questions for Rick? Great. Next is item agenda number 4 is municipal shared services update. John DeCarlo.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. There's a memo in your packet outlining this agenda item. Several of our CEOs have requested that we take an active role in assisting municipalities address what has been referred to as an impending solid waste and recycling. Certain aspects of these have to be addressed with a statewide approach, and to that end, we represent our members on CCM's Solid Waste Management Working Group. We encourage that entity to ramp up its efforts per our CEO's input, and hopefully that will take place now with the closing of the legislative session. But per the memo, we're proposing the formation of a regional municipal solid waste and recycling working group to solve as a forum to explore potential solutions that will assist COG staff in exploring potential regional programs, assistance, and shared programs that can be implemented to assist members. Per the memo, we're asking interested CEOs to email me their representative's contact information by next Friday. We suggest that person be a municipal staffer that oversees solid waste and recycling, and happy to take any questions on this.
Any questions, folks?
Can I make through the chair, John, could I make a suggestion? You work on a lot of moving parts. And I'm wondering at the meeting, if you could just kind of abbreviate it, just indicate what the things you're doing and where we kind of stand with them. I know I'm involved with 2 committees with you, so I want to give you some credit for what you do.
Sure. Thank you.
I just through the chair, just a heads up that CCM has a committee that was formed last year that did a lot of work on this. So we might want to get some information off of that committee, and some of the things did get through on that new bottle bill, and some didn't, that we're still trying to work on. So we might want to jump off of work off of some of those ideas.
Good suggestion, Mayor Dunn. Okay, John, you got that?
Thank you very much, Mayor. I certainly do.
We are in such a crisis in Connecticut with this municipal solid waste stuff. And I'll tell you, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get a lot worse. The MIRA, formerly CRRA, trashed energy facility is on its last leg. Covanta's overburdened. MSW waste costs are going to go up extraordinarily high, I think, in the next 5 years. And now, as you all know, the recycling is catching right up as well. So anyways, brace yourselves.
It's a mess, to be very honest with you.
Yeah, it's pretty sad. Okay.
Repeating.
Yeah, and I would simply comment, putting it all on freight trains and sending it out of state is not a sustainable, it's not a sustainable method to resolve this issue.
Well, first of all, what shocks me is Ohio and Pennsylvania is still taking this crap, but
For how much longer is the question?
Yeah,
That's why it's not
until
sustainable.
the nuclear waste shows up, and then there'll be a big issue.
yeah. Obviously, the Republicans are still in charge in Ohio and
What they're saying.
Pennsylvania, apparently.
Well, when we meet with Deep on the other issues, that's who we got to get to listen to us when they finally admit that waste to energy plants are safe and working. That's what we need more of.
I know. By the way,
Just don't want to hear about the financing aspect at the state
Right.
level.
Can't convince them.
by the way, Ed St. John, I had to get you back on a Republican comment from your comments at the beginning of the meeting about what's going on in Washington, DC. Which I
Good thing you got us. Good thing you got us.
concur with, by the way.
Mona and I are the dogs here.
Item agenda 5, sustainable CT. Joanna.
Yeah, so we're just talking about sustainability. So this is a great lead into this. Yeah, sustainable CT. As many of you know, sustainable CT is a voluntary certification program for municipalities. And they promote local municipal actions toward the sustainability, just like you're talking about with the wastewater, and demonstrating statewide impact. The Connecticut Conference of Municipalities endorses this, and it's funded through a group of foundations. Now, 2018 was the first year this was offered, and to date there are now 64 Connecticut municipalities which have attained certification. And in the NVCOG region, we have 4. Cheshire, Waterbury, and Woodbury have bronze, and Silver Star for Bristol. So as you know, in the last few years, we've had Sustainable CT Fellows in residence at the Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments to encourage more participation in this program and to provide free assistance with your applications. And this year, we have 2, which are Adrian Huck and Lauren Pawlowski. And Adrian, would you like to unmute and say a few words about yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Adrian Huck, and Thank you, Joanna, for the introduction. I'm going to be one of the Sustainable Connecticut Fellows for NVCOG. I'm from Derby, Connecticut, and a little bit more about me. I am a community organizer. I'm the co-founder of the New Haven Climate Movement Youth Action Team, and I'm also interested in climate education, and I'm the facilitator of the Climate Health Education Project in New Haven, which educates high school communities about climate change. And in general, my interests are climate change, of course, community organizing, climate education, and waste management. And it's great to meet you all.
All right, thank you, Adrian.
And our other Sustainable CT fellow is Lauren Rogalski. Lauren is in the office, so go ahead, speak
I
loud.
don't know if you're able to hear or see me, sorry, but it's nice to be here. My name is Lauren Rogalski. I'm from Shelton, Connecticut. A rising senior at UConn, graduating in December with environmental studies and economics, 2 degrees. During my time at UConn, I worked for the UConn Office of Sustainability, so I have a lot of sustainability background. I'm interested in like brownfield and economic development, low impact development, all kinds of development, but food systems. And I'm really excited to work with the towns this summer. So it's great to be here. Thank you, Joanna.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren and Adrian. And again, their help is free. We've already sent out emails to the CEOs, to the town planners. They've already had discussions with Bethlehem, Cheshire, Bristol. And, please, if you have any questions, contact me, contact them. Thank you.
Okay, Joanna, thank you. Next on the agenda is 6 is emergency management update. You're still on, Joanna.
Great. Rick kind of covered a little bit about the long-term recovery related to COVID-19. Right now, as far as immediate unmet needs, we haven't received any new ones through the official forms. However, the United Way continues to get assistance requests, especially for food security within our Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments region. The steering committees are shifting their focus from immediate response to long-term economic recovery. The Naugatuck Valley Council of Governments will be involved in this whole process through June of 2022. Again, we're waiting to hear and from the, I know Rick was mentioning a meeting among the CTCOG directors, and we'll understand that a little bit better in the future, in the near future. As far as the regional emergency planning teams, Region 5, they are figuring out how to spend the $385,306 Homeland Security Grant Program budget. Regional Emergency Planning Team 2, similar. The meetings for Regional Emergency Planning Team 2, June 18th. The next CEO meeting for Region 5 is August 16th. And just want to say one last thing about community emergency response teams. Statewide Council is meeting on June 17th. And just want to highlight the Bristol Community Emergency Response Team. Since January, they have had 1,351 hours of community service. These are really active groups, and they really do contribute a lot, especially during this COVID response time. And that's all I've got for today. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanna. Much appreciated. Anyone have any questions? Okay, item agenda number 7, NVCOG Planning Transportation Lotsmith. We have Karen.
Morning. As I do with all of our Lotsmith projects, I requested proposals for a third-party review from our list of on-call engineers for the review of Rubber Avenue in Naugatuck. And we received one proposal from AI Engineers. They actually just recently did another review for us in Wolcott. They did a very thorough job. Staff has reviewed the proposal and recommends that this work be given to AI Engineers. So we have a recommended motion to enter into agreement.
Edmond?
So moved. Second. Is that what you need?
I knew Tommy Dunn was going to move that motion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed, abstained, thank you. Okay, next we have Mark with the adoption of the Naugatuck Valley Regional Transportation Safety Plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Next slide, please. Basically, this is part of the state DOT effort as part of their strategic highway plan that they put together. What the state did is they engaged VN engineers to conduct regional or create and prepare regional safety transportation plans. And they're under contract with the department, but they actually are doing it for each of the individual regions separately. And these plans are going to be consistent with the state highway safety plan. It sort of follows that 4E approach of looking at engineering, enforcement, education, and emergency response actions. Next slide, please. And basically, the process that they did is they're trying to create sort of the roadmap for the region to address safety in our region. Again, the goal is to reduce the fatal and severe injury crashes. It's data driven, so they did look at all the crash data that is available through the Yukon repository. It does focus mostly on, the more severe accidents, but it is looking at not just highway, but also pedestrian and bicycle safety as well. And their first step was to conduct interviews with all 19 municipalities individually, talking to the police departments, the town administrations, public works, to get a sense from them, what are the most critical safety problems within the town. The report does look at the highest frequency crash locations throughout the region, and then it outlined the countermeasures and strategies to address. And even though it's a regional report, they did produce individual and municipal reports that focus in on what's going on in each of the towns, because each town has different issues and different concerns. Next slide, please. And these are the critical emphasis areas that the report focused on. The first one is critical roadway locations, accidents that occur at intersections. Road departures is a real important area that the state wants to look at. And instead of, in the past, they used to look at these big projects that would address a high frequency crash location. But what they're now looking at are more low cost or systemic actions that have a greater effect at reducing accidents. One of the probably more well-known ones currently is center line rumble strips. As cars are crossing the center line, it alerts drivers that they are crossing the lane, and allows them to get back into the proper lane. The report also looks at driver behavior. This is also a critical contributor to the crashes. Things like aggressive driving. It's excessive speed. It's the changing lanes inappropriately. It's the traveling faster than the traffic around you. Distracted driving remains a real concern, and as well as substance impaired driving. The report also looks at education improvements or enhancements for older drivers as well as younger drivers. These are two areas that they see contributing to the number. And as I mentioned, non-motorized safety is also important, pedestrians and bicyclists. This is emphasized by complete streets policies to try to come up with features along our, a lot of times more of the downtown locations to accommodate both bicyclists and pedestrians more safely. And then the final one is motorcycle safety, and this is sort of addressed using safety campaigns. So it's a good, well done report. It provides a lot of good information, and we've been asked, the TTAC has looked at this back in late November, October of last year. We circulated for comments from each of the towns. Didn't receive that many. We did provide the VN engineers with all their comments, and they addressed those in the final report. So, we're just requesting, approval by the board that this is adopting the Regional Transportation Safety Plan for our region. And this is not a end of the whole issue. This will be a living document. We plan on addressing, reusing this document to further our analysis of safety throughout the coming years.
Mark, is that on the website, that document?
I have to double check. I believe it is, but it may not be, but we will get it on the website, today or Monday.
Okay, I'd like to just to get a copy of what they said about our town so I can review it with our selectmen again.
Right.
Thank you.
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't double check to make sure it was on the website yet. So I'll make sure that it gets on, either, like I said, either later today or first thing next week.
That's very good, Mark. Thank you.
I just want to thank you from Derby, the traffic study that you did for our Academy Hill, High Street. We'll be implementing a lot of your recommendations there. On numerous accidents there. So thank you again for all the information.
Thank you.
Anything else for Mark on this issue?
And John here through the chair, Mayor.
Sure.
Mark, I wanted to thank you also on that 176364, which is, of course, the next town away from the Mixmaster project. They're fast tracking that project to 2022 to get it done from 23, which is the big plus. The drainage issues that I said that you and I discussed that we saw would create a major problem for our DPW facility. We had a 3-minute meeting with Ron Nault of Luke's, who's the engineer. They're the consulting engineers for DiCarlo and Dahl on that project. And the matter was resolved in a matter of 3 minutes. It's all done. And it just goes to show you when you get the right people on the site, how long it takes to resolve a problem. So thanks, Mark. You helped make that meeting happen. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate the comments.
Okay, great. And Mark, you still have the floor so you can bring us up to date on the Mixmaster assessment.
Okay. Now,
Aaron, we need a motion to adopt the resolution for the regional safety plan.
And so move. Go ahead.
Second it. No, I'll second it. Go ahead.
I don't care which way it goes, Eddie.
No, you have the honor of making the motion. I'll second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Mixmaster.
Okay, Rick sort of mentioned what I was pretty much earlier, what I was just going to discuss. We had met with the consultant engineer, which is HNTB and DOT. And as you may recall, it's going on 4 years ago, the state started relooking at the full big project of replacing and destacking the Mixmaster, looking at alternative assessments. They have completed all of the data collection and existing conditions analyses, and they do want to re-engage stakeholders in the public. So that, as Rick mentioned, they're trying to set up a special meeting with our board to have a more in-depth discussion. We felt that it wouldn't be appropriate just to do it within our regular board meeting because it requires more time than we usually would have in our board meeting. So, but it is they are getting started to do some more public outreach. So we'd like to meet with the board before they start the public outreach. And I think Rick, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they said like September that they were hoping to do that. So we'd like to schedule something before then.
No, they've sent us dates for the end of this month. We're going to try and work something out, but if we can't, then it'll be September.
No, I meant with the just general public. We were trying to do this before they start going out to the general public, which I thought was in September.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Okay, well, that's great. Item agenda number 8. We're going to take B before A and just talk about Kinneytown. You know, Rick, we have on the notes here executive session if necessary. Do you really think that's necessary? I don't think it is.
We decided yesterday we didn't need one today.
Yeah, I thought we had. Okay. Why don't you give the board an update of where we are and we'll go from there.
There are really just two highlights, and I'll lean on Aaron if I need to. We'll get through this pretty quickly. So the executive board continues to meet with our attorneys in executive session with our coalition partners about what actions should be taken going forward. But the big news recently is that DEEP and Fish and Wildlife conducted a field visit, which was detailed as very disappointing in DEEP's letter to the FERC, which was filed on May 25th. Essentially, nothing operates at that dam. The power plant in Ansonia has been offline since probably 2010, at least 2012. The power plant on the Seymour side has now been offline since at least October, so far as we know. No fish are passing. Aaron, do you want to talk about you have the video running here on the screen, which is a pretty good representation and should help you to sort of explain what the issue is. We'll do this quickly, Mr. Mayor, and then there's no need for executive session or action today.
So the biggest issue is that when water is flowing over the dam, fishway does not operate at all. So in the normal year, this video was taken on Monday with a little over 300 cubic feet per second of flow at Beacon Falls. Normally, all of that water would be going through Unit 1. So there'd be no spill at the dam, and fish might have a chance to make it up the ladder. Right now, with neither plant operating, every drop of water that's going down the river is going over the dam. So there hasn't been a single day that there's been appropriate flow to make the fish ladder operate.
And just to be clear, we're in the middle of the spring migration. No fish have passed. Did you have? You want to tell them about the observations in the?
Sure. There's one more slide. If you want to move to the next slide.
I'm not sure how to do that here. Oh, it's on the next slide.
Yeah. Okay. So on the coalition, Save the Sound, and the Naugatuck River Revival Group, and us, we've been working to document fish below the dam, and try to document fish passing. We haven't been able to do that, but we have gotten below the dam. The flows are still really high over the dam, so it's hard to get into some of the pools where the larger fish schools might be. But this is sort of from around the edges on Monday, basically just dropping a camera into the water and try to get some video, and there's just fish everywhere. So it's obvious that there's fish below the dam. What we understand about the way the dam operates and the fish ladder operates, it's hard to believe that anything has passed this season at all. And we're working to get the official fish counts from DEEP to release those bi-weekly, I think. And we're trying to get basically everything they've counted this year, which we're pretty sure will show that there hasn't been any fish passing at all.
So, Mr. Mayor, the DEEP letter, in addition to this details the problems, this really shows what's going on, but in the DEEP letter, they've identified that the orders that FERC gave to the owner of the dam previously, not a single one of them has been addressed. And if you want to look back here, if anyone can see on this video, this boat safety line, well, it's hanging over the dam. It has been like this for at least a year. Safety line is supposed to be back here, blocking the river for the dam from boats for safety. These people haven't even gotten out there to put safety in place. I mean, it's insane what's going on out there.
It's outrageous.
It really is.
That's appalling. If that was us, we'd be all in jail.
Oh, yeah. So, but that was really the main point of DEEP's letter, is to point out to FERC that of the things FERC has ordered, Hydroland, the new owner of the dam, has not taken on a single one of them.
As bad as that is, which is pretty horrifying, but as bad as that is, and the fact that there's no fish migration, the fact that the safety line is the way it is, I'm actually glad that it's that bad, because it's got to open up the eyes of, FERC. And, I really believe that, to Pete Hess's hope that this thing is going to get shut down completely. And I think that we just keep going in our direction. I'm really grateful for everybody's work on this, but at the end of the day, we have Janine Lupo on here. Janine, we're going to be reaching out to the Congresswoman and Senators Blumenthal and Murphy, because we've got some strategic initiatives that we want to discuss. We're hoping to get a letter or comments from Fish and Wildlife sometime in the next 4 to 5 weeks on their observations from their engineers who have been on site. And once we get those comments, then we're going to strategize on what's next. So, you know, I think it's vitally important that we stay focused on this. I know we are, but I really am appreciative of all the efforts. I think that we're going to have an outcome here that's going to be satisfactory, but it's only going to happen if we keep the pedal to the metal. Okay.
Sounds good, Mayor. We're looking forward to being helpful.
Okay, great.
I just,
on this issue, Rick?
yeah, no, Lou Mangini is normally with us from Congresswoman DeLauro's office. Obviously, the river is in both districts, and Lou sent his regrets this week. He's on vacation, but normally he would be with us, and they're tracking this as well closely with Congresswoman Hayes' office.
Okay. And before we go to the next item agenda, Mark, I just want Mark Nielsen, on behalf of all of us, we want to send our sincerest condolences to you on your loss of your mom, and we're thinking about you, buddy. Okay.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. It is kind of a sad time, but we also celebrate that she lived to 100, and we were able to celebrate her birthday 2 Sundays ago with a glass of wine and an ice cream cake. So she did good. She was living independently up until about the last 3-4 weeks. So you can't ask for more.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. I didn't realize that. Wow, that is just, that's a beautiful story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We also have item agenda 8A, which is the CT update. I understand there's a Mr. Murphy that's going to be with us to speak about this.
Hello.
Hi.
Slides, who's got those? Great, Rick, thank you.
Take a second, David. Apology.
I can introduce, so for the last year or so, we've been working with CIRCA, the Connecticut Institute for Resilience and Climate Adaptation at UConn, on the Resilient CT project, which is focusing on regional resilience in New Haven and Fairfield counties. David Murphy and SLR, formerly Malone and McBroom, are the project consultant.
For whatever reason, just give me a second, David, it's not popping up. Hate this.
I can bail you out with my version if you need to.
Oh, they're right in front of me. It just won't let me swap over. It's not fun. I have to stop the share and go back. Trying to start it up again.
So while you're doing that, I'll just say, you know, we're gonna skip the first 2 slides because the first 2 slides are a lot of words, and they're designed for this to also be kind of an information sheet. So when you get the slides open, Rick, yep, skip that one.
Yeah, we'll just, oh, this is what I needed to do. There we go.
Yep.
And I'm gonna go
ahead. Yep, and let me start with this one. So, you know, this Resilient Connecticut Phase 2 project is kind of wrapping up. And remember, this project is about finding the intersections of heat and flood vulnerabilities and transit-oriented development. And so, you know, probably if you've seen me in the past, you've seen the writing on the wall. We were going to end up identifying opportunity areas in the urban cores because that's where we have the highest heat and highest flood vulnerability intersections, right? So you're not going to see high heat and high flood in Middlebury or Prospect. You're going to see it in Waterbury. And then when you add in the additional factor of needing to include regional infrastructure, that's kind of where this has played out. So I want to go through just one page for each of these orange dots and then leave you with a really strong request. So with that, let's go to the next page.
David, can I just ask while we're on the map, are you also working around the Farmington River in Bristol on this?
So the Resilient Connecticut focuses on New Haven and Fairfield counties.
Okay.
So other efforts are going on up there.
All right. If someone can help us, I don't know if it's through our Resilient CT connection. We really need to get the full story for all parts of our Council of Governments region.
Yeah, and it's, although I'm not on the agenda for this, we're also working on your hazard mitigation plan, and Bristol is a part of that. So
right.
That's the place to kind of elevate those issues. So happy to talk about that as well. Okay, so we're gonna go north to south, and each of these pages is set up the same way. You'll see a map on the right-hand side. On the left-hand side, you'll see just a bunch of numbers for the flood, heat, and social vulnerabilities. You'll see the zone of shared risk, which is typically just the name of the water course. And then you'll see just examples of regional infrastructure that are present in this area. And then if there's an area of planned development or a federal opportunity zone or TOD, which is transit-oriented development, if they're present, they're also in those boxes on the left. So you'll see this first one in Waterbury is actually missing a few of these things. That's why it's a tier 2. So this one we don't anticipate going into a proposed concept design, but suffice to say, this is the first of our opportunity areas. All right, go to the next one. So this one's pretty intriguing because this one really encompasses the TOD area that also is part of Freight Street, which is an area of planned development. So you'll see some of those words on the left-hand side in the box. And this is one that I would anticipate would have some traction going forward into phase 3 of Resilient Connecticut. I would expect us to be looking at some sort of concept designs here for some resilience projects. And so the message really to the city of Waterbury is after this meeting today, call me, email me. We want to get a meeting set up with Circa to really start to look at this more in depth. All right, next page. I know I'm last, so I'm going to rush. This is moving further south. This is actually, was there one for Naugatuck? Did it go ahead to? Let's go back one. Oh, there it is. Thanks. Yeah, so this is the one for downtown Naugatuck. Again, there's a strong intersection with transit-oriented development. Obviously, the railroad station is close to the Naugatuck River. You also can see this is where Long Meadow Brook runs into the river. So there's a few things going on in this area, a lot of regional infrastructure. It's definitely an area of planned development. And I could see some potential concept design coming out of this for a resilience project. All right, next one down is, okay, this is kind of an odder one because there's not an extreme flood risk in downtown Seymour near the transit-oriented development potential areas near the rail station, but there is a lot of flood risk just to the north. They're sort of near each other, so we kind of drew an area around the two. But this is a tier 2, which means it probably won't be elevated. The heat vulnerability also isn't as high because the downtown area is a little bit smaller as you move into some of the smaller towns. All right, next slide. This is an area, so this one and then the next one is Derby. Both of them are strong TOD potential. There's rail stations, obviously, a lot of desire to redevelop properties, brownfields or otherwise. A lot of flood risk. We know the levee runs through here in both towns. Parts of the Naugatuck River are flood controlled, but there still is residual risk when you have a flood protection system in place, as you all know. And there's tributaries as well that have some flood risk. So we see this as being a potential opportunity area. And then the next one, I think, is the last one. Next one should be Derby and Shelton, right? And so, a lot of discussions about Sullivan's Island and, other things that, I think I got the name of that wrong, actually. Other things in downtown Derby that are plans that are underway. So we see this as being a potential opportunity area. We know there's already a lot of development underway in Shelton. We read about it in the paper and been reading a little bit about some mixed use developments that are proposed for Derby and Sonia. So the goal really is to kind of link up some of that with a resilience project, which could be, increased flood protection or increased flood resilience or something to alleviate urban heat effects. We're all struggling with the hotter days, and there's a lot of talk about cooling centers, building cooling centers, comfort centers for people that aren't the same as shelters. So lots of ideas to be worked out in the next few months. The next page, I think, is just the wrap up. Right, so we had a workshop a couple weeks ago with the NVCOG stakeholders and some of the staff, such as Aaron, were present, and other people from the region. We actually had a resident of Ansonia, which is nice. We hardly ever get residents. And he made a really good point. And his words ring with me to today, which was, why would you invest in transit centers that have kind of less use than other use? And he was saying, well, when I want to use Metro North, I leave Ansonia and drive to Milford because there's more parking and there's more frequent trains. And that was an important message to hear. And I think whatever resilience projects come out of this, we want to make sure that we really link it to like enhancement, making these transit centers more user-friendly and more usable so that people will use them. So other things we heard were make sure that we leverage the redevelopment of brownfields and make sure that we have a lot of sort of smaller projects. Don't just focus on the big complex ones, but we want to have a list of smaller projects that the towns can kind of take on their own when they have funding. So that's the whole presentation. I know I'm last, it's 11 o'clock, but if you're one of the towns that you just saw on one of these slides, Ansonia, Derby, Shelton, Naugatuck, Waterbury, Beacon Falls, possibly Seymour, really get in touch with us. Most of you know how to reach me from the hazard mitigation plan work. But if not, reach out to Aaron or Joanna, and they'll get you my contact information. We want to make sure that we have these discussions in the next 2 months as we move from phase 2 to phase 3.
Okay, David. Aaron or Joanna, if you would please get David's contact information over to Tia so that I can get going on my end, okay? Anybody have any questions for David? Okay, I guess you did a pretty thorough job, David. We're appreciative, and we will definitely be in touch on the Waterbury side to get together soon, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, I wanted to just take a minute under other. Oh, well, we haven't done the environment. Well, we're pretty much done with everything, thank God. I wanted to take a minute to recognize, is Ricardo on this call, Rick?
Actually, he's not. He's working remotely today at a family issue.
Not a problem. And without going into any detail, because Rick and I are unable to, through the great efforts and initiatives of Ricardo, the Naugatuck Valley COG is going to be the only COG in Connecticut that is going to be getting some significant recognition in the up and coming weeks in the world of environmental remediation. So when you see it and you see the press conference, you need to know, and we'll make sure you know anyways, but that Ricardo is the person that's responsible for that initiative. I know it's very vague, but I just wanted to have you be on the lookout for it. The other thing I wanted to talk about is Mark Ramo. Mark Ramo is the new town manager of Watertown. He's on this call. We want to welcome him. He's been in this position for a few months now, and we're going to have some fun working together. Looking forward to getting Watertown back at the table, and anything that you need, Mark, on our end, we'd be happy to facilitate in any way. Thank you. With that, I got to just take another couple of minutes, and I'm going to let y'all go. So you probably may or may not have seen the paper this week. Our Naugatuck Valley Regional Development Corporation did in fact get legislative approval from the House and the Senate on our creation of our company. That's a company that Pete and I talked to you all about quite a while ago. It's modeled after the Hartford CREDA, which is the Capital Regional Economic Development Authority, which is an agreement between the cities of Hartford and East Hartford to do regional economic development planning. A long time ago, Governor Malloy had mentioned to me that we should think about doing something like that in the Valley. It took a few years to get it done, but we, through the efforts of our new CEO over at the newly formed NVRDC, he did a great job pioneering the legislation through the House and the Senate, and it's been approved. I do expect the governor to sign off on it. We'll probably have a press conference on this. And if we do, I would really encourage the Valley towns in particular to try to be there if you can. Basically, we're looking at economic development regionally, as I mentioned quite a while ago. And we would love to encourage every member of our COG to take a close look at this and see if it's something that could be beneficial to your town or your region. Obviously, we're focusing on the rail line improvements and the things that could bring for TOD projects, all the way through the Valley. I'm really excited about this. I think it could be very meaningful. We are tearing down the silos, if you will. Obviously, each of us are charged with trying to improve our own individual municipalities and towns, but our approach is a little different. We think if we do well in Naugatuck, it'll look good for Waterbury. If we do well for the Valley, it'll be good for Waterbury. If we do good in Waterbury, it's going to be good for the Valley and the region. So in Oxford included, I don't know if Mr. Templeton is on the phone, but Oxford has that great airport over there with a lot of enterprise zones around it. So there's a lot going on here. When the governor signs the bill, we'll be able to talk more about it and talk about what exactly it could mean for any of our towns in our COG. I'd like to just put it on your radar so you have it there. And I think that's all I have. Anybody else have anything under other?
Mayor, you're gonna be
No, it's just community.
Mayor.
Just wanted to say congratulations, Mayor O'Leary and Mayor Hess. And please let us know when the ribbon cutting or press event is.
Okay.
And Sony would like to join.
Okay.
Are you gonna be in your office? I'm gonna walk over there.
Yeah, come on over.
So, Mr. Chairman, I just what's on the screen, the last item, will remind you one more time. This is about diverting waste stream. I know we talk with the state about composting commercially at curbside, and they look at all of those ideas. But this is something that everybody can do right now, which is to get a composting barrel. We really want to thank the towns of Cheshire and Southbury for providing us with facilities for pickup. It's been very successful. I think you guys are going to hit your targets, 100?
Yeah, we've hit our targets. We've got over 200 units sold.
Good.
They make great Father's Day gifts. My dad's getting one this year. So, any way you can help us promote, there's one more week left of the sale. Any way you can help us promote this to your residents would be a big help.
I think we saw a presentation this week is 30% of the MSW stream is organic, that could be composted. And, the more we get out, the less expensive it is for the towns.
Very cool. Anybody else got anything for other?
Mayor, I have a question of you. When are you breaking ground for that big link of the Greenway walkway?
I think I can announce this. We are in the final stages of negotiating a contract with the successful respondent to the RFP. I'm really happy it's Dayton Construction. They've done a lot of work here in Waterbury over the last decade. And we've always been very satisfied with them. And they have another project going on in Waterbury right now over on Prospect Street and North Main Street. So I anticipate, this is a little aggressive, but I anticipate shovels in the ground around July 1st.
But let me know if you're gonna have a ribbon cutting. I didn't think I'd live long enough. I might not live that long. I didn't think that I'd live long enough to see it ever done because it took us 15 years.
Yeah, well, I got news for you. I'm more optimistic than I've ever been, but I share those thoughts, and it's a huge, massive undertaking, but I really think we're there for phase one, which will go from the Naugatuck line to Eagle Street. So I think it's going to be pretty cool. So we'll see what happens. Thank you, though.
If you get the mix master plan to incorporate it you can go from your greenway to ours, which is coming to Chase Parkway, then I'll consider the day done, Mayor. So if you can pull any.
I'm so happy I'm going to get sidewalks from Naugatuck Valley Community College down to CBS. I finally got that done after 8.5 years. So
be a Chase Parkway and 17 with the Greenway as part of this project. So now if you can connect us in between, we can connect the two Greenways. So I'm looking for your divine guidance.
You're the best. All right.
Oh, the connection. So it has to be nice.
I know that.
I don't have any connection.
So, Mr. Chairman, last thing I think is, I just want to remind everyone, we are scheduled for a regular COG MPO meeting on July 9th. My guess is unless we get tip amendments that we must pass from the state, that meeting will probably, as tradition, be canceled. We don't have a meeting scheduled in August at all. So it's likely that September will be the next regular meeting, barring any unforeseen action from the state. But we will have a special meeting on new mix, which is what we call the Mix Master Project now. It's now new mix. So
Let's go back to the picnic too.
Yeah, I'd love to see that, see what they.
So
Last.
that's it.
Turn, can I just give a quick update from Congresswoman Hayes's office?
Of course.
Thank you. So this week, I think that the Appropriations Committee is finalizing all of its clarifications for community projects funding requests. We know that Wolcott and Southbury were on our list of 10 that were forwarded for recommendation. So as soon as we have an update on that, I'll reach out to everybody. On another note, for member designated transportation projects that were recommended by Congresswoman Hayes, 5 out of 6 of them were included in the overall bill that went to committee for markup, and all 5 of those remained in the bill and will be going to the floor for a full House vote. We're hoping around the 28th, and one of those includes Route 109 through Morris. So I was thinking of Bethlehem, that would also be an advantage there. So we're very excited about that.
That sounds good, Janine. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Well, I hope you all have a beautiful weekend. The weather looks nice, and it looks like we won't be seeing each other for a while, but stay in touch, and we'll let you know about this press conference if we have it on the NVRDC when the governor signs the bill, and stay safe. See y'all.
Take care, everyone.
We got a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Edmond. Tommy Dunn, thank you for this. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Thank you all. Appreciate your time.
You got a couple minutes, Lynn,